Welcome to Diamond Property Group. Today I'd like to share one of the most legitimate ways how you can get into the property ladder, whether it's a rental property or your first home, by buying a house without any cash deposit. Unfortunately, there are a couple of conditions and it is not for everyone, so I'm sorry if I have wasted a minute of your life. So, the first prerequisite is your parents need to own a home in New Zealand and they need to have equity in it. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't have any mortgage. They can still have a mortgage, but they just need to have enough equity to help you to buy a home of your own. The second prerequisite is, well, they need to love you enough and want to be able to do it for you. And hopefully this video that you can share with your parents can explain how it's relatively moderate risk. It's not too risky for the parents and it's quite an easy way that you can use, and also this is the way that's acceptable by all the banks in New Zealand. So hundreds of people are doing it. Hopefully you are next. Okay, so I'm going to consider a real life example. So first of all, we need to ascertain that there is definitely enough equity to go around. So let's say your parents own a house which is valued at $750,000. They have a mortgage of $300K. That means they've got an equity of $450,000. They can't use all of this equity though, because the bank needs your parents to leave 20% of equity in their own home. So 20% of the value in this case is $150,000 that we cannot touch. That means the investable equity is $300,000. So that $300,000 can serve as a 20% deposit on any property. So then we need to look at you. So we've ascertained that the parents can help. The next part is you finding the home of your dreams. Maybe not if it's the first one. So let's say you found a home and it's worth $650,000. Well, that's the price of it. And that's what you're wanting to buy it for. By the way, in this example, it doesn't matter whether it's a brand new home or existing. This methodology applies to all sorts of homes. So we've got a house with a price of $650,000. Now, the mortgage on this house is also going to be $650,000. Why? Because we are not using any cash deposit. We are using an equitable deposit that's going to come from your parents. The equitable deposit or security that the bank needs is 20% of the purchase price, which means it's $130,000. So bank wants to secure the deposit of $130 either by way of cash, but in this case you don't have any, or against someone else's property. So your parents, you need $130, they've got $300, so you are sorted. So the equity part is all good, right? Now, the next part that we need to ascertain is also serviceability and the whole process and who is liable for what. So basically, when you go to the bank and you need to tell your parents to go to the bank with you or apply together. So the first application A, is for you, and you need to fill out that application for the mortgage amount of $650,000. Even if your parents love you so much, they're wanting to secure, the deposit against their home, I'm sure they don't want to pay that loan off for you. So you're going to be the one carrying the full amount. In this instance, it's $650,000. So, and that's what you've got to explain to your parents, that you're going to be the one paying the debt off. They don't need to contribute a single cent, either by way of equity or by way of making the loan repayments. Now, the second application is going to be for your parents, and that's going to be for the amount of equitable deposit, which is $130,000. Now, even though they're not going to be making the repayments, why does the bank want them to fill out the application? Well, in case something goes bad, in case you fail on your obligations, then the parents can step in and they're only going to be liable for that $130,000, not the full amount of the mortgage. So this is an important part to be clear about. So this is how it's going to work. So the good thing about this system is that there is no cash required. By the way, if you do have some savings, of course you can use them, and that means your mortgage balance is going to be less, so your repayments will be less. Something to also keep in mind is that You must be able to afford to make repayments on the full amount of mortgage. If you don't, then you have to look for a cheaper property. And the best thing about this is that it's also temporary. So once you've got enough equity in your own home, so let's say some time passes and the market makes your property appreciate in value, you have also paid down some mortgage. So let's say now you've got 20% of equity, which means the property can stand on its own feet in the eyes of the bank. In that case, your parents' property gets released as a security, and they can have a complete peace of mind that they never have to pick up a slab after you. So then you're on your own, and as soon as you build up enough equity, you can also invest into more rental properties. So if you need some help with that, get in touch. We can sit down with you and your parents, explain what are the risks, what are the benefits, how we can put that all together, and we can make it work and help you to get onto the property ladder faster.